continue with the next process of learning, that is operant conditioning. In the last lecture, we talked about the classical conditioning. In case if you remember or if you have missed this, then please go and watch the last video that was about the learning and the learning process. So the first one we studied was learning by classical conditioning. It was given by Ivan Pavlov, where he did a experiment on the dog, and he showed us how the classical conditioning actually takes place. Classical conditioning happens in our day-to-day routine as well. Okay, so today we are going to start with the next topic, that is operant conditioning. Learning by operant conditioning was first explained by the American psychologist Bruce Frederick Skinner. We can also write over there as B.F. Skinner. He performed an experiment in which a rat was put in a special box that contained a lever. If the rat passed that lever, he was given a food. Gradually, the rat learned to press the lever to get the food. Here, the rat is learning to connect his behavior of pressing the lever with receiving the food. According to the Skinner, the certain behavior may be learned to gain a positive consequence. Similarly, he also demonstrated that the certain behavior may be learned to avoid the negative consequence. So, in case if you didn't understood, we will understand with the example. So, this is the person who gave a operant conditioning, that is B.F. Skinner. Now, what he did in the experiment is that in a box he kept a rat, and there was a lever over there. You can see over here, the lever is over here, and if he used to push that lever accidentally down, the green signal used to press the light up and the food used to come from it. So what happened, first rat learned accidentally that whenever he used to push the lever down, he used to get the food. So accidentally he learned through a positive consequence or the reward over here, that is a food. Next, accidentally he pushed the lever upside, and the red light was blinking and he got a shock. So he knew that if the lever is pushed up, he will get a shock, and thus he avoided to push the lever upside because got a negative consequence. Simple to understand. So what the food did work over here is of a reward to increase his behavior of pushing the lever down, and what shock did over here is giving a punishment where he reduced his behavior, and that is known as operant conditioning. Operant conditioning always works on a voluntary behavior. That means the subject or the person or the animal is going to learn on his own based on the consequences. So whether the consequences are positive, then the person is going to repeat those behavior. If the consequences are negative, then the person is going to stop that behavior, right? So operant conditionings are based on the voluntary behavior, whereas a classical conditioning is a involuntary behavior. So well, to understand more, we will move to the next slide. See over here, it is explained the classical conditioning was done on the dog, and it was an involuntary response to a stimulus, right? Whereas the operant conditioning was associated with the voluntary behavior and the consequences. That means a rat went on his own and he found out what could be the consequences, whether it would be a negative or a positive, right? So operant conditioning is a time for the food, I should press the lever. So he will press, he will go voluntarily, he's going to do that behavior purposely so that he gets a reward. Whereas in the classical conditioning, the bell has rang, so it's a time for the food, so it is a involuntary response of the dog. So classical conditioning was first described by Ivan Pavlov whereas operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner, classical conditioning focuses on involuntary and automatic behaviors, whereas operant conditioning involves applying the reinforcement and punishment. Reinforcement is something which increases the behavior, and punishment means something that decreases the behavior. Classical conditioning involves the placing of a neutral stimulus signal before a reflex, whereas the operant conditioning focuses on strengthening or weakening the voluntary behaviors. Okay, so classical conditioning works on the reflex, whereas the operant conditioning works on strengthening or weakening the behavior. So I hope you got a clear idea and the differentiation between the classical and the operant conditioning. Next, we move on to the activity 9, that is of understanding the operant conditioning with our day to day life examples. Answer this imaginary situation and try to understand the nature of learning by operant conditioning. If your teacher deducts 5 marks for a late submission of assignment, will you be on time for the next submission or you will be late? So, what are you going to do? Are you going to be late or will you be on time? After much hard work, if you win a dance competition, you are likely to participate next year too. In the first imaginary situation, you are less likely to repeat your behavior because your behavior yielded you some negative consequences. While in the second imaginary situation, you are more likely to repeat the behavior because it led to the some positive consequences. So, if there is a positive consequence, if you are getting something rewardable, if you are getting a good sign of doing your behavior, then you are going to repeat that behavior again and again. But if you get some negative consequences for your behavior, then you are going to stop that behavior then and there. So operant conditioning is very simple to understand, that it basically works on reward and punishment. So if you got a reward, obviously you are going to do that behavior again and again. If you got a punishment, you are going to stop that behavior over there. So that is what the operant conditioning is. Next, we move on to learning by cognitive processes. Just when Skinner and Pavlov were talking about the connection and consequences of behavior, Edward Tolman demonstrated that though rats in his experiment were not given any food, they still learned about the different pathways in the maze. That means a rat created a map in his mind just for the sake of it. His experiment demonstrated that learning may take place in the mind using the mental processes, what we call as cognitive processes now. So, learning by cognitive process was explained by Edward Tolman in his experiment wherein he kept the rat in a maze box. Okay, and the rat automatically he found out the way out from there, like he has created a map for that particular maze. Now, without giving any reward, without giving any punishment, the rat learned how to get out of this box, and that proved that rat or any person learns through a cognitive processes or the mental processes. So that is known as learning by cognitive processes. This is the person Edward Tolman who did an experiment on the rat which was kept in the box with the maze. So we know what the cognitive processes are: attention, perception, memory, language, learning, and higher reasoning. Fine. Next, we move on to the learning by assimilation and accommodation. Jean Piaget explained that we learn many things by assimilation and accommodation. Jean Piaget is of opinion that on the basis of new experience or new information, we keep refining the existing concepts that we have. For example, when a child forms a concept of a cow, he she extracts some general rule or characteristics to form a concept of cow. But when he encounters a buffalo, she notices the differences between the cow and the buffalo and forms the separate concepts of buffalo. This process of forming and refining our concepts on the basis of similarities and differences is called learning by assimilation and accommodation. So, in case if you remember that video wherein I had explained you what the concepts are, what the mental representation, what the schemas are, you will understand what actually they are explaining over here. So, what happens in learning by assimilation and accommodation is that every human being makes a concept whenever he sees anything new in front of him. Okay, so for example, if a child sees a TV in front of him for the first time, he makes a concept that there is a TV over there. So, that particular thing is known as assimilation. He is undertaking that knowledge and feeding up in his mind, so that is a assimilation. Okay, next time when a child goes to the classroom and he sees a same rectangle thing of a black color, he will say that no, it is a TV in the classroom, right? But then his teacher will correct him and say no, this is a blackboard and we write it over there to explain the students. So what happens next is that the child learns the differentiation between a TV and a blackboard. So when he learned the differentiation between the two things, that is known as accommodation. So this is known as learning by assimilation, means grasping the concept, grasping the new concepts in the mind, and accommodation, that means learning the differences and the similarities between the two things. Okay, so we will understand this is the Jean Piaget who gave learning by assimilation and accommodation. We will understand this process with the help of this image. So you can see over here a girl is petting a dog, so she knows that that is a dog. But when she encounters a cat, she again says that it is a dog because she can't understand the differentiation between a dog and a cat. Then her father makes her understands the difference between a dog and a cat. So that is the assimilation process that has taken place in the child's mind, right? Another example to understand assimilation and accommodation is that it starts with the schema. It starts, then it goes to the assimilation, and it ends up in the accommodation. Boy has learned the schema of cat, so he knows how the cat looks like. Boy saw a cub and called it a cat. Sister said, no, it's a cub. Fine. So now in the accommodation process, the boy has learned the difference between the cat and the cub. So that is accommodation. Another example of assimilation and accommodation is that boy saw an aeroplane and from existing schema he called it as a bird. This is called as assimilation. Mother told him it's an airplane and people travel in it and it's a non living thing. With the help of the new schema, now a boy came to know the difference between the bird and the airplane, and now he can correctly recognize it, and this is called as accommodation. So this is what happens between by learning by assimilation and accommodation given by Jean Piaget. So we learned four major processes of learning, that is classical conditioning, operant conditioning, then learning by assimilation and accommodation. Next we are going to see the observational learning. Observational learning, like we can see over here in this photo, the boy is learning how to fold the clothes by seeing to his father. Okay, so that is simple to understand that learning occurs through observation and imitation of others. So by seeing others, we learn the thing. So that is the fifth process of learning, that is learning by observation. According to Bandura, we learn many things by observing someone's behavior and later reproducing it. Bandura did an experiment on observation. So if you Google it, the experiment done by Albert Bandura, you will understand how the observation actually works. So it is not mentioned in detail in your textbook. So please go and check the experiment done by Albert Bandura, that is learning by observation. Many of our skills like eating, walking, writing, etc., are learned by observing others. We observe and imitate not only the movements of the body but also certain ways of thinking, evaluating, judging, and decision making, etc. So, this is how the observation takes place. We learn from others' behavior not just from their body movements but also from other things. Here you can see the example of observation learning. If you are new in some restaurant, you will come to know how to eat. You watch the people and you replicate them. So these were all the processes of learning. In case if you have any doubt, please feel free to let me know in the comment box.